In 2016, 158 electoral votes went to either Clinton or Trump, despite that candidate not winning more than 50% of the vote in these 14 states. And they won the most votes, but not a majority. And you can see these are some of the key states which decided the election. That meant that for the 5th time in American history, we sent a president to the White House who a majority of Americans did not vote for.
And that's why there are growing calls to abolish the Electoral College, or at least get enough states to band together and make it irrelevant. So if this electoral map of red and blue sort of makes your stomach turn green, why don't we just talk about the Olympics instead?
Thank you.
Or the Oscars, or ice cream, or just look at some Whitney Houston memes.
United States of America!
See, the Olympics only have one winner, but they give 3 medals. And when you can't choose just one flavor of ice cream, there's Neapolitan or the Tonight Dough.
And the Oscar goes to?
And it all relates to how the Oscars decide who wins.
Parasite.
It's called ranked choice voting, and it's having a moment.
But wow, what a moment. I will never forget.
But some people may have forgotten, or probably just never knew about something that happened 150 years ago in Massachusetts at MIT around 1870 with this thoroughly bearded professor named William Ware. Ware noticed a new type of voting emerging in Europe, and he tweaked it a bit, developing instant runoff voting. We now call it ranked choice voting, and Ware saw it as a way to improve voter satisfaction, writing, "It is to be remembered that it is in the interest of the voters, not of the candidates, that elections are carried on." That was 1872.
Back to present day, where I've got AR, augmented reality from NBC's emerging tech team, to help me explain what ranked choice voting is. So let's say you've got to choose between 4 candidates represented by these colored codes. You've got yellow, pink, green, and purple. Now only one of them can win, but instead of just voting for one, you're actually going to rank your top 3. I like pink the most, and then purple would be my second pick. If neither of them won, I could live with yellow, but I don't like green. So green is out. That is my ranking. Now let's see how everyone else voted. If one candidate gets a majority right away, that's it. The election is over. But in this case, there are 4 candidates, and no one has a majority. So the one with the fewest votes, yellow, is going to be removed, and we'll see who those voters chose as their next pick. But that still doesn't give us a majority, so we're going to do that one more time. Now green has the fewest votes, so we're going to remove the green candidate and see who those voters chose as their next pick. That does give us a majority. We have a winner, it is purple, and that is how ranked choice voting works.
Since being first used in Denmark in the 1850s, it has slowly caught on. Australia adopted it in 1918, then Ireland in 1921. It came to American politics in 1915 in the small town of Ashtabula, Ohio.
And now in 2020, it's used on some level in 26 states. 5 states even used it in this year's Democratic presidential primaries. And that brings us to Maine. It's already used statewide, but November 3rd will be the first time ranked choice voting will be used in a presidential election anywhere in America, deciding who gets Maine's electoral votes. And not everyone loves that.
I think from the very beginning, I thought it was complicated.
That's Dr. Demi Kazunas, the chair of Maine's GOP. I caught up with her on Super Tuesday as she proudly cast her vote for President Trump. Her party was also actively collecting signatures to repeal ranked choice voting at the state level, while Portland, the state's biggest city, had a ballot measure to expand it to all local elections. So I wanted to understand why Republicans in Maine are so opposed to it.
Folks are going to have a hard time ranking. They don't even know who's running. So I believe in one voice, one vote, one person. It's the American way. It's the bedrock of our American principles. It's always been the way it is. And we keep on trying to mess things up. I'm not sure the motives behind it, but to me, it complicates what should be a very simple process.
But does it? I asked some voters.
When you voted ranked choice for the first time, was it confusing to you?
No.
If your first choice, isn't valid, then your opinion is still
taken into consideration. It's not like just totally thrown out.
Yeah, I mean, why not? That seems a fair way to do it.
It makes people maybe think a little bit more about their choices as opposed to just one or the other.
The third parties, people are afraid to vote for us because they think, oh, that person won't win. But if there's ranked choice voting, people aren't afraid to vote their conscience.
You can actually vote your conscience and your favorite choice.
And everyone felt, I feel like, a little weird in 2016 and made a lot of people not even vote. And like, that just is the saddest thing, you know, just like, it's like, we gotta vote. we gotta vote.
And by the next morning, Portland, Maine had voted, overwhelmingly to expand ranked choice voting to all local elections by 81%. But what about the 19%? Well, this objection may reflect what's going on in their mind.
Yeah, the guy up in northern Maine won the election, and then they threw him out.
He had the most votes, but he didn't have a majority.
He had the most votes, period. That's all I have to say.
He's talking about this guy, former Republican Congressman Bruce Poliquin.
But since day one, this rank vote process has been a real problem.
Poliquin lost his re-election bid in 2018 in a ranked choice vote. In the first round, Poliquin had more votes than Democrat Jared Golden, but not a majority. So it went to a second round where Poliquin wound up losing to Golden.
And I think that it's relatively easy for partisans to look at a recent outcome and judge a system by how it might affect that outcome. But if you step back and look at it systematically, ranked choice voting is fully constitutional. This has been tested in court, very much in the spirit of one person, one vote.
Rob Ritchie co-founded Fair Vote nearly 30 years ago with one of its primary goals to give American voters more than just a choice of red versus blue.
We need to address the fact that voters want more from politics and that the current rules are really driving us in a dangerous direction of more polarization, more difference, and a lot of that is tied to a system where you can only vote for one person, a kind of an all or nothing approach. And ranked choice voting, we think, is a great solution to that.
And it's a solution gaining momentum with New York City adopting it next year, along with smaller cities voting on it, like Eureka, California, and Minnetonka, Minnesota. But also 2 states. Alaska voters could join Maine in using ranked choice for all elections, including the president. And the state where William Ware brought ranked choice voting to America could make his idea reality 150 years later.
Voters here in Massachusetts will weigh in on ranked choice voting.
The effort known as Yes on 2 has some Hollywood star power behind it.
We are at our best when we're united, but these days politics are tearing us further and further apart. Enough. Ranked choice voting helps build consensus.
And Mark Cuban, too, tweeting, "This is exactly why I support ranked choice voting. It's a major step towards making politicians responsible to voters before and after they are elected. It is a better business model for the business of politics." But Massachusetts Republican governor says he's voting no.
We think it's very complicated.
Ultimately, it's not up to politicians or celebrities. Voters in Alaska, Massachusetts, and several cities will decide if they want to use ranked choice voting. And isn't that really what this is all about? Giving the power to voters. Because regardless of how you're voting in 2020, doesn't it just make sense to elect candidates who win a majority of the vote? Because that is what ranked choice voting does.